Oh, we've got Mr. and Mrs. Dreuth on the phone, and Ms. Froman. So yeah, we can. This is interesting because this is a group of an audience here that it's hard for me to introduce myself because it's like a 40-year-old thing. So John and I have been classmates. Maybe I'll introduce my connection to the Dreuths to the rest of the group. But John and I were classmates since I was in second grade and John was in first grade, and all through Little League, which is why I've got the Little League stuff up here on the back. And we didn't go to high school together, but I spent a lot of time in Monty Levinson's, especially once I learned that bad game of golf. And I've certainly been aware of the Dreuth family. We live just a couple blocks away, but just to remind you, John and Mrs. Dreuth and Jane, I moved to Lincolnwood with my family in 1979 when I was 4 years old. I'm here on St. Louis, where I've always been. Of course, went to the schools. I went to Loyola Academy, and I kind of lost touch with the Lincolnwood crowd. I didn't go to Niles West, and it wasn't the social media age. I went on to Indiana University for college. I graduated in 4 years, came back, and my brother, father, and we opened our office on Devon, right down the street from Monty Levinson's. Ever since, we've been operating as a commercial and residential real estate broker here in Lincolnwood. I got involved with Lincolnwood government because of Don Gelfund, who's here on the call. I demolished my home when my wife and I got engaged back in 2003, and lived next to Don in a rental home. Didn't know Don before that, and one day we were out having a conversation talking about the street sweeping signs that used to get tied up on the trees. And I said something about, why don't we have permanent signs for this and save the labor and the driving around and all this nonsense? And said, if you've got such good ideas, give me your resume, let me get you involved. And, fast forward 16 years, here we are. But seriously, after about a year and a half on the sign appearance review board, which is what Jerry Turry appointed me to when he was the mayor, the Alliance Party with Judy Abelson and Burl Herman asked me to interview to run for trustee for a vacancy that was created by Nick Leftakis not running again. And I won uncontested, so I was glad that I won that one. And ever since, I've just developed a passion for local governments. I used to call it my hobby, and now I really do call it my passion. I spend a lot of time on it. It's something that affects my business. I do commercial real estate, or residential as well, and everything is on land, and a lot of what we do in local government is land-based. The use of our land, variances, and special uses, and tax incentives, and those are the things I do in my business. And so I've got a certainly a vested interest in learning and being aware, and being a Lincolnwood resident and a business owner, and having my family here, and with no intention to go anywhere anytime soon. I'm glad to give back, and I have a passion for my home, for the place for my business, and for what it is that I can provide. So that's a little bit about me. We can get into why I'm running with this group of trustee candidates. I think everybody on the call knows Grace longer than me. She's been here longer than me. I'll introduce you to Mohammed, Saleem, and I imagine Ikezoe-Halevi, who's been a trustee for the last 4 years. But I'll have Burl go, because I don't know if anybody on the call here knows Burl, but Burl Herman is she's our clerk. She's been around for a long time. Miss Herman, do you want to maybe introduce yourself?
You did ask if you could call me, if you still had to call me, Mrs. Herman. So
Clerk Herman, how about that?
Yes, I have been here for a very long time. I think Judy and I are kind of tied. I moved here in 1967. I worked for the schools. I ran the English learner program for many, many years. What can I say? These are people. I am so excited about this slate. Now, I am running unopposed. I don't know why. There are two theories. One, that I got a lot of votes the last time. Number two is that no one wants my job. That's probably more like it. But these are just remarkable people. I have known most of them for a long time. Mohammed I met last year, and I was most impressed with his interest and his concern for our community. That, coupled with his engineering background and his business background, would just make him a tremendous, tremendous source sitting up on the dais. Grace, yeah, I think Grace might have been in kindergarten when I met her. She still looks the same, by the way. I watched her on the park board. She was a tremendous, tremendous member. She had good ideas. She was supportive and, again, concerned with our community. She lived here practically all her life and has chosen to raise her family here. So what could be better? Jesal-Halevi, okay, I met her when she brought her son to kindergarten. He is now, I think, 35 years old. So I've known her for a long time. She and I served on human relations together, and I have watched her for the last 4 years as a trustee, the single most careful, diligent trustee that I have observed. She has just been an outstanding trustee. Jesal, yes, I was in the small group that asked him to run for trustee. In 14 years, he has proven himself just, again, someone, and I see this all the time, but it's true, someone who never talks off the top of his head. When he speaks, he has researched, he knows what he's talking about, very careful. I am so proud of this slate. Anyone who knows me knows I'm proud of this slate because of who they are and how they look. So, but just remarkable people, and just the people who would keep our village going in the direction we want it to go. Who's next? Should I say more? I don't have any more to say.
I guess I'm next.
You're next, Jean. Okay.
Okay. First, I'd like to thank John Dreuth for hosting us tonight. And I'd like to thank his family and Jane Froman for being here, and anybody else whom I might have missed. My name's Jean Ikezoe-Halevi. I've lived in Lincolnwood since 1990. My husband and my son and I moved from East Rogers Park because we wanted to find a better school for my son. The Chicago public schools weren't very good at that point. In fact, they were pretty bad. And I know the other members of our slate have heard this story before, but the year that we moved here for our son to go to kindergarten, we found out that the field school in Chicago was so overcrowded that they were teaching their students in the bathroom. And we knew we made the right decision, because there's no way that you could have a good learning environment and have your child go to classroom in the bathroom, the restroom. That's just a horrible situation. So, we came to Lincolnwood. We're proud residents, and coming here from East Rogers Park, we never looked back. I was on, as Burl had mentioned, I was on the Human Relations Commission with her. I answered an ad in the local newspaper that Madeline Grant had put in 1997, asking for people who might be interested in joining this new commission. And I thought it was a great idea. So I volunteered, and I served on the commission for 16 years. Following that, I was on the Zoning Board of Appeals for 4 years. And then I was elected trustee in 2017. And I think it's been a wonderful experience. I enjoy getting into, reading all the information, all the packets. It's just been a wonderful experience. I don't think the average person understands local government. I sure didn't when I started, but I think everybody needs to be involved in it. A little bit about me. I was born in Chicago. I grew up on the north side, 2 blocks away from Wrigley Field, as a matter of fact. So I'm a good lifelong North Sider who never thought she'd move to the suburbs. And yet here I am. And this has been a great experience. I have not only a son, but a daughter who was born here. And now my kids are grown up. My son is working for the TSA. in Orlando, Florida, and my daughter is a mechanical engineer in Seattle. And the funny thing is, both of them have friends from Lincolnwood that they see on a daily basis. They have a little group down in Orlando, and there's a little group in Seattle. So Lincolnwood residents are not only everywhere, they still hang out together. So I think that's a wonderful, it's a wonderful thing to know that. I am hoping that you will vote for us. We have a wonderful slate. We have some great candidates. Each person here would add to our board. There's no doubt about it. And before I go any further, I think I'm going to turn this over now to Grace Diaz Herrera.
Thanks, Jane. And thanks, John, for having us and hosting. And thank you, Mrs. Dreuth and Jane, for joining us just to meet us. I've lived here for 45 years, just like many of you and your families have. There's something about Lincolnwood. We're all here to stay. We leave, we come back, raise our kids. Our kids move out of the house. We might move somewhere temporarily, but we always come back to Lincolnwood. Judy's basically still living. Thank God for Zoom, Judy. You get to be part of Lincolnwood all the way from the West Coast. But yes, Lincolnwood is definitely special. Just like many of you, I do feel Lincolnwood has really given my family and me opportunities and actually just almost the confidence to really grow here and flourish. We're a small suburb. And when you can flourish in a small suburb or given that chance, you leave Lincolnwood, go to college, you feel so much confidence to really flourish there as well and onward. But it really has shaped, my life and my family's life, my brothers as well. And I've seen the support that Lincolnwood has given us. And just like the love here in Lincolnwood, just a lot of pride that we have here in Lincolnwood. Look at all the famous people that come out of Lincolnwood, from, obviously Attorney General to musicians, to authors, and of course, some other people that, also for other reasons. But we do have a lot of famous people out of our 12,000 plus, population. I grew up here. John, I believe you were a few years younger than me, right between my brothers, Tony and Donnie. I think you played baseball with Donnie. And Jane, I've known your family for years. Your brother went to school with my brother, Tony. And Mrs. Froman was all three of my teachers pre-kindergarten. They were students in your mom's pre-kindergarten class. And they will all still say that she's their favorite teacher. So, as you know, I started in pre-K with Mrs. McCucci, like probably the both of you, and Jesal as well. Graduated, went on to Niles West, graduated from DePaul University with a major in economics and a minor in political science, and then later on got my MBA from Keller Graduate School. I was really happy when my husband agreed to raise my three children here. He really did, he was really envious of how Lincolnwood, was, how Lincolnwood people really stayed friends. You were talking about lifelong friendships, Jean, and that is something that I really value. My husband lives on the northwest side of Chicago, and he went to school in a small private school over on the northwest side, one class per grade, but he stayed close to them. And he thought that was very special, of course. But when he saw, Lincolnwood people really sticking together, still coming back to visit their friends, even when their parents moved away, and still being able to find them, it was, pretty remarkable for him. And he really wanted his kids to grow up the same way. And of course, not only that, that's a huge part of it, but, of course, the location, the school system is top notch here, obviously, and our diversity here. And then, of course, our parks, 13 parks and 2.7 miles, which is also pretty remarkable. I've been lucky to serve on the Parks and Rec Board, as Burl said. This is my 6th year. I'm really proud of a lot of the amenities that have come about, the trails, the overpass, and just improvements to our parks. I think it's really important that I was on that, or I'm still on the board, because it really helped me grow as a leader and just really grow when it comes to being objective and being, having a purpose, being able to collaborate with my group, which is my fellow commissioners and the director of Parks and Rec and their staff. We might not have the same ideas and disagree actually, but we do know that, this is for our residents and for, the families here that really want to come together and really want to enjoy, whether it's baseball and softball or the pool, which is going to open this year. So, putting aside our own opinions, but really focusing on residents and getting the job done. I think it's really important to find those solutions instead of arguing and talking. So I know that's going to be, that'll be something that I look forward to if I get to serve as trustee, is really working together and getting that job done. I've been volunteering for years with my husband. Yes, we've also coached baseball and softball. Our boys and our daughter were involved. And I was a former softball player, went all the way through travel season to my freshman year, and then I focused on gymnastics. But I definitely enjoyed that. I used to volunteer at the schools with the kids as room parents. I'm actually I actually volunteer for Wellness Day every year, which is really enjoyable. But of course, with COVID, it's been difficult. And then, of course, our events, our restaurants. I mean, we just have so much here in Lincolnwood to look forward to. I can't wait till we start getting, where it's safe enough for us to get together again. I am a full-time realtor. I'm also a CrossFit coach. Prior to that, I was a litigation paralegal for in-house counsel for insurance firms like Liberty Mutual and Cigna. And then after college, I worked for a small investment management firm as a portfolio accountant and for Bank of America in their trust division. I am very concerned about COVID and post-COVID recovery, and not just for our residents, but for our local businesses. I would love to contribute in help and keeping our municipal. Sorry, I lost track of what I was saying, but maintaining our fiscal responsibility and keeping our strong property values. I want to continue our community vitality, but I know we still need to bring more cohesiveness to our community. And I want to work on that and, bring our residents new ideas as well. We have a lot of old concepts and ideas that have still stayed from when I was younger, and it is to protect and preserve, our residents. So along with, keeping those ideas and concepts that have been successful, but also being open to, just having our community thrive. We are in times where they're always changing, like COVID, to our market, to our needs and concerns, especially as, our population and our demographics have changed, and they change every year. But I do feel this group, especially our slate here, just as Jean said and Burl said, I mean, we come from different backgrounds, educational backgrounds, and there's just so much brilliance here. I am in awe, actually, of my slate members, because they bring so much to the table, and I've learned so much, as this is my first time running for political office. So I know I've probably taken too long, but I hope you support us and and vote for us on April 6th, or early voting, which I think I heard from my mother that it's at the Skokie Courthouse already today.
No.
It's not. That's what she said.
Oakton Community College,
On Monday. I know that part.
starting
Okay.
on the 22nd. We don't know about the Skokie Courthouse because
okay.
they
It's
don't.
there. Salim went and voted at the Skokie Courthouse. It's
Oh,
open.
Did they let you vote? They told me they weren't going to let people vote. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt. Grace
Well, I'll
maybe
leave.
can
I will
can
leave
introduce.
this off, and I'm sorry. I will hand this off to Saleem, who probably was my first voter for me. So thank you, Saleem.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Thank you, Grace, and thank you, everybody here, for joining us on this Zoom call here. Many of you, well, some of you know me and many don't know me. Today is St. Patrick's Day. 27 years ago, around 4:30 p.m., I landed at O'Hare today,
Oh,
27 years ago. So that's 27th anniversary for me in America. Like any immigrant from O'Hare, I landed on Devon Avenue, and I stayed on Devon Avenue for 27 years, literally on either side of Devon, this way, that way. Finally ended up in Lincolnwood. We moved, my family moved here about 7 years ago, like everyone said, for schools. We have 3 kids. 2 of them went through Niles West school system, the older 2. My little one just graduated from Lincoln Hall. Now she's in Niles West. So 27 years, I chased, like everyone else, the American dream. In 27 years from a survey rodman in a survey crew. The rodman, if you look at back in the days, they used to have 2-man survey crews who used to do roadway survey, pick up the grades along the road. I started my career as a rodman. In 27 years, I became a business owner with over 100 employees working for me right now. So most, I do engineering work. I build roads and bridges. That's pretty much what I do. That's my bread and butter. I don't do anything else. It's all roads and bridges for me. I love Lincolnwood. I enjoy living here. 7 years have been great for me. There are a lot of people, diverse background, diverse, not only from ethnicity point of view, as well as what they do. There are business owners, real estate, doctors, and I don't know about engineers. Maybe I'm the only engineer on my street here. I've not met any engineer in the Lincolnwood area. I also know watching since I work on roads and bridges, every municipality, goes through their infrastructure plans, and more of our tax dollars are spent on building or maintaining the roads and bridges they have. Not only roads, bridges, as well as water and sewer lines and all the good stuff that comes with the infrastructure part. So last 13 years, I'm a business owner. I only work with municipalities and government agencies. That's my experience, basically working with the government agencies. My last project, I shouldn't say my last project, we are currently working on many projects, but in the area here in Lincolnwood is the phase 1 study that Lincolnwood did for 94 and Cicero Avenue intersection. I was part of that project. So it's a project that's coming up again in the next year or so to do phase 2 and other stuff. So I know engineering, and looking at the budget and the program here in Lincolnwood, we may be spending upwards of $50 million in the next 5 years, fixing our roads and water and sewer lines. So I would like to participate in that process as a Lincolnwood resident, be on the board to help out with making good decisions, and building some sustainable infrastructure. Other than that, I don't have, I did not go to schools here, so I can't talk about my schools, but I enjoy my 7 years here in Lincolnwood. I would like to spend my rest of my life in Lincolnwood. So that's my plan here. With that, I'll give it back to Jesal.
Sure. We do this in a number of different ways. I don't know if we have any questions that had been sent in advance. John, if you had any, I know that people were, not going to be able to make it maybe, and they're going to maybe watch the recording. So I don't know if you had any questions. I know that we have Mr. Weintraub has jumped on. So sorry you missed some of the introductions here.
I'm sorry. I'm Lee Weintraub. I apologize. I was on a synagogue meeting that dealt with strategy. I just couldn't get myself disconnected, and it was important. So I apologize.
No problem at all. We're actually recording this, and so John will be able to get you a recording after the fact. And now you know that we're recording as well. If you have any problem, let us know. So you can watch from the beginning. It was just our boring introductions about who the candidates are and who you're going to vote for and who's going to handling $32 million a year. It's not a big deal.
So that's actually a good question. So some of the questions I got from people who weren't here is how are we looking at both spending and generating revenue to cover a lot of this stuff, because I think that's where some of the differences kind of lay sometimes. So
okay, so that's a good one. It's a long. It could be a long answer. It could be a short answer. The easy one is what are we doing? Well, to cover the $52 million that Saleem talked about with the infrastructure. We moved our water supply from Chicago to Evanston. Chicago, over the course of 8 years, raised our water rates 6 times, more than a total of 110% from where it was before they did all those increases. After the 3rd year of increases, we realized that that was a problem that we were not going to be getting away from anytime soon. And so we wanted to go out and find another water supplier. Staff went out and sought out other people who have lakeshore access, Evanston and Wilmette, namely. They made a deal with Evanston, and the savings that the village reaps from buying water from Evanston versus Chicago generates enough revenue, because it's a commodity that the village sells. That's how one of the ways we make money is selling water. We buy it from somewhere, we have costs involved with it, and then we sell it, and that actually makes a small profit. In this case, it's not a profit in the typical sense like you would have a business, but that money that we make pays for the debt service on bond issuances. And we're going to be issuing bonds to pay for road reconstruction, road resurfacing, water main replacement, sewer replacement. Those are big projects that we have planned for. We had a plan that we started discussing 4 years ago. It took a couple of years due to some administrative issues to get that plan off the ground. Last year, I think, was our first year, 2020 was our first year of implementing the road resurfacing program. And we have a 10-year program on that, and then a 5-year program on sewer and water mains. So as far as paying for that, now in the general fund, and as far as what we're doing, that's the more difficult. We're faced with a lot of problems here in Lincolnwood, like most municipalities are nowadays with COVID. I was saying to anybody who didn't join us on time that, didn't join us when we started. I was sitting with the former village manager, Tim Weiberg, this evening for an early dinner, and he's now in Brookfield as a village manager. And Brookfield has the zoo, Brookfield has a downtown, Brookfield has 3 train stops, and he's jealous of Lincolnwood because Lincolnwood has so much sales tax. We generate about 26% of our revenue from sales tax, where in most communities it's closer to 10 to 15%. So that in mind, we're very susceptible to changes in sales, in retail sales, in car sales particularly. And when you have a mall that's closed for 6 or 8 months because of COVID, when you have people not buying cars, although it really did make a big comeback in the summer, you can lose revenue. Excuse me. Likewise, COVID added costs to our operations, our staffing. We had people out, we had to do temporary staffing. So our costs went up and our revenues went down. Unfortunately, over the last 4 years, due to some administrative difficulties, that's the nicest way I can say it, our spending on payroll went up because our management knowledge and ability that we had developed over the previous 10 years was really dismantled. Our village manager left, our assistant village manager left, and down the road. And in that 4-year period, we've lost the first and second in command or in charge in every single department and ones beneath them. And there's a cost to that. Knowledge and experience gain, or knowledge gained from experience and and the ability you gain from that, it makes things go faster, makes things go more efficiently and more cost effectively. And our payroll here in the village hovered around 10 or $11 million a year from 2007 to 2017. Since 2017, it's gone from 11 million to it'll be over 14 million this year, when it had really hovered pretty flat for about a decade, and then it just skyrocketed. And so we have some changes to make. We have some difficult decisions to make relative to our expenses and our payroll. But we want to maintain our service level. One thing about, I guess it's me that's the only one left from the era after the recession. Bob Merkel, hopefully our finance director who retired, hopefully he'll be consulting at least for the next year with us. I hope I can, if I'm successful, I hope I can talk him into maybe taking on a little bit heavier of a role with the village. But we were able to wade our way through the post-recession era without any significant reduction in service level, really no reduction in service level. We held the line on our payroll. We were able to obtain funding and grants to make up the difference that we had. And my predecessors and the staff that was there turned around our budget process and our financing to make sure that we had a reserve. And we were able to utilize the reserve, good investments, some good decisions, and do okay. And we can do it again. We've got a difficult challenge, I would imagine, before us. And we've got capable people. I really hope that we can work as a team, Saleem, Grace, and Jean, of course with Burl, but also with Craig and Atur, to push through whatever we have to push through. Diversification of our revenue is something that we all stand for. Bringing in new revenue sources, new taxes, and so. People. I was on the phone, and I'm sorry to dominate, but we're short on time, and I can get it out there, and we've done a lot of these. I could pitch off to, and I'll make sure that I shut up after this answer. Sorry, but on revenue sources, I was talking to a couple of Northwestern news students, or sorry, not Northwestern, Niles West news students doing an article for the Niles West paper today, and. They asked me a bunch of questions for about 45 minutes. They had an hour, and I said, okay, I've talked a lot. I'm interested to hear what they want. And, they want a lot of the same things that, all of the age groups of us here on this call want, which is, a dog park, a nature park, something to do indoors, whether it be a bowling alley, different restaurants, some retail. That's what everybody wants. But there are other things, experiential things, whether it be, or fitness, Grace is in the fitness industry, and that's a big use in Lincolnwood. There are healthcare uses, but hotel is one that we don't have in Lincolnwood. We are famous for the Purple Hotel. It's funny, we've never made a penny off our hotel business in Lincolnwood because we never had a hotel tax. So one of the things, I'm a hotelier, and I understand that having a hotel tax actually is a calling card for bringing a new hotel. It's a great revenue source. It's a big attraction for restaurants. It's just a really good business to have in town. And the creation of that tax and bringing a hotel can bring a lot of revenue and help diversify our revenue and insulate us from those changes in retail and auto sales and the other things that we're affected by. Maybe Jean, Grace, or Saleem want to talk about the concept plan for the mall area. And in case anyone doesn't know, the mall company, Washington Prime, which is a spinoff of Simon Mall Company, the largest mall operator in the world, filed bankruptcy actually. And while it sounds scary and bad, that mall concept of a mall is something that's kind of a dead concept. And so this might be the starting point for a whole new development. And so, one of the three trustee candidates maybe can talk with you about that. And if you need help, I'll jump back in. I was one of the crafters of the concept plan. So.
I'll jump in on that, but I'm going to take a little different course first, trying to answer a little bit more of what John had asked, because one of the things that the Lincolnwood Alliance Party is talking about doing is in order to get more businesses here, to help bring in more money, is going to be better customer service. And customer service is something you might think, that doesn't sound that interesting. But Lincolnwood has a reputation of giving businesses a hard time when they come in. If we can improve customer service, and that's going to start from the head down, meaning the board down, and teaching people how to treat customers better, how to be the village of yes instead of the village of no, then we are going to increase our revenues by having new businesses. We'll make the customers, our residents, happier, and they won't feel bad if they have to get a license for something or if they have to pull a permit. You know, we want everybody to be invested in this. You know, and if you have good customer service, we're going to attract a lot more people. We're going to hopefully gain back people who no longer come to Lincolnwood because they've had a hard time either trying to start a business or rent some property or do whatever they had planned originally. We want to get that business. We want to get more people. We want to have a positive image, and that positive image will in turn lead to more money. And that's the basic goal here. Going out of COVID, we're going to have to try to be more creative. We're going to have to push hard because we're going to be competing against every other community around us, including Chicago, in order to get people to come to Lincolnwood. And it's like, why do you want to come to Lincolnwood? And if people have a good image of us and they have a positive image, that's going to change the game for us tremendously. Right now, if one person walks away from Village Hall saying, I didn't have such a good, a good experience there, that's like $1 million of bad publicity. And people, you might, if you have a good experience, you're going to tell people. But if you have a bad experience, you're really going to tell people. And, we want to avoid that. We want to come up with something new. We want to have people happy, and happy people are going to turn into more dollars. So that's my say on this. And I don't know if either Grace or Saleem would like to add anything.
I was just going to add that not only with our businesses, but also our residents, I think it's really important to service our residents as well. And also prospective residents, being a residential realtor, I meet a lot of people. People have lots of questions. So they're already looking at our website, making phone calls to the village just to see what it would entail, whether it's for construction and permits, whatever it may be. But if it seems hard, people are not going to want to move here. And we already know our residents are already complaining about some of the services, how hard it is to get a permit, things like that. I think is really important. So just wanted to add that, Jean. Also, when it comes to our residents, I think that's really important as well. Keeping our residents happy and our service to them is really, really important.
If I may add, the only 3 areas I think where we can increase our revenues are, the Purple Hotel project that's ongoing. That's where we can make some money with respect to sales tax and whatever it can generate. The other area is to improve the Lincolnwood Mall area. With what Jesal said, is a good opportunity for us to kind of retool ourselves, redevelop that area into a more sustainable revenue base coming out of that. And the third thing I think where there are more opportunities is Lincoln Avenue. Figuring out what we can do on Lincoln Avenue, especially Lincoln, Crawford, and Pratt intersection. What can we do there to improve our revenue base? That's kind of central to Lincolnwood, closer to everything we have. So if we can work on those three projects and improve on them, I think we can definitely make a good impact on our budget, with respect to making more money or more revenue base for us.
Sorry, and I was just trying to grab, and I'm pointing because I've got 2 screens up here. I was trying to grab an image actually of the concept plan that we adopted in December regarding the mall. I believe the concept plan's on our website, lincolnwoodalliance.com. There's a lot of information. So rather than putting it here on my background, maybe, if you just check out, sorry about that. You can check out lincolnwoodalliance.com, and it's mall area concept plan, or it might be in development plan. If you can't find it, John will get it to me, and I'll get you the information on the mall area concept plan. And concept plans sometimes or often are just that, concepts, and it takes time to get a development in, but it's the first step. And so a big development area like that's, I think it's like 35 acres, could take 10 years to get going, but over the course of that time could really turn into something substantial for the village. So, were there any more that you had already in your holster, John?
Well, I know Saleem talked about the Purple Hotel. Do we have any more information? Because that's been vacant now. How long that it's been just leveled? So,
I mean, right now, the current situation is, to be short, we're waiting for them to resubmit their plans with changes. They submitted their plans. The staff reviewed and gave them comments and requested changes. If they make those changes and get approved, then they can have a permit issued once they pay the $1.5 million permit fee that they have to pay. And if you don't know what the development is proposed, it's 3 buildings. Building A is on the hard corner. It's 30,000 square feet of retail on the first floor with some covered parking. And then the second floor is parking, and then 5 stories of residential above. It's upscale apartments, 1 and 2 bedrooms, typical of what you would see downtown. Modern amenities, swimming pool, all of that, private spaces. Another building to the west would be a grocery store on Tui, 40,000 square feet. It's an unnamed grocery store at this point. And then to the north, a 300-room dual branded 7-story hotel. Marriott, I think, are the flags, and with a couple of restaurants down below. There's a requirement to have 20,000 square feet of restaurants in the development because we get restaurant tax, and we want people to have restaurants to go to in town and around us. And so that's what the plan is. There's also information on that on lincolnwoodalliance.com that you can take a look at. And if you have any questions about what's going on there, let us know. It was, excuse me, I think the development could have started a year earlier, or could have gotten off the ground if we didn't have the administrative difficulties we had at starting in 2017. And unfortunately, they weren't able to get started before COVID. There are a lot of projects that are underway right now. We see the big one going on in Skokie, and they got started and financed before COVID hit. This one, if it would have started 4 months earlier, way back in 2017, 2018, if it would have started in maybe November or December of 2017 instead of waiting until April, they might have gotten their financing done and into the ground. And we could be looking at this summer, maybe the first occupancy of a portion of that property. But it's important to be well managed, to strike while the iron's hot, not to waste time. All those typical things we say, but they really do make a difference. So you never know when another COVID's going to hit. Knock on some wood somewhere. I hope not. It's a long time. So sorry to jump in. I know we're short on time, and I can kind of rattle off quick because I've been living this ever since I became a trustee. The hotel closed about 4 months before I became a trustee, maybe 6 months. And it's been something that just been through 3 different owners and lots and lots of plans, and a recession and a recovery and a president and all sorts of stuff. And so but the most important thing that people don't realize, again, Lincolnwood never received any hotel tax. We got relatively low property tax because until from the mid 80s onward, it was really a declining property. So we've been doing fine without it, and we haven't had to invest 20, 25, 30, $50 million of general funds to get a project going or to buy the property like they did in Park Ridge, for where the Trader Joe's is in Park Ridge. Those taxpayers are still paying for the developer's profits. And the developer's been gone for 15 years. So, it's, while we want it done, we're doing okay without it, but we want to get that thing done. I would love nothing more to see it done, but I don't want to invest in that. That's not our job. So sorry, Purple Hotel is important. Anyone else?
Well, I want to thank Michelle for inviting me tonight. intentionally bumped into her on the street, socially distant this afternoon, and wanted to learn a little bit more and get a few lawn placards for my lawn. I've been reading up about this team, and so I'm appreciative. I'll just make a few comments because I'm in learning and listening mode. I've been a resident here for 27 or 28 years, a kind of a quiet resident, a happy resident. But I do believe some of the things that you're talking about post-COVID, this is just an opportunity we have ahead of us. And if we don't leverage this moment in time and celebrate, we can do something now, we're missing more opportunities. And it sounds like we've missed a few since 2017. So it's been, not a fun time, but this is a time to be like, make something real happen and celebrate. We're going to be different after this. Let's learn what that different looks like. I do think, like most of you, I'm sure think these are economic engines. The corner of where the Co-Purple Hotel was, these are economic engines for us to harness and leverage this moment. And I realize it's a lot of balancing and conflicting forces. It's just the world has balancing and conflicting forces. We just have to find it so we all find mutual success here. And I know it's not easy. I do know that. But this is a big piece of opportunity, and you understand that. I think that if we have guiding principles that are ethically and morally grounded, that when we want to be, we want to make things easy for people to come here, but we shouldn't let this become the wild, wild west where we say, do whatever you want, we're easy. And that's not the kind, and I know you're not saying that. I do believe that it's a balance, but I know that I don't want a community where we're like, come in and do whatever you want, because we have to look out for each other. But I think there's a win in that. I mean, I'm an architect, I'm in construction and a little bit of development myself. And I just want there to be a path where it's fair, where it's not harder and it's fair, but life isn't easy. So, we just have to make it so that there's a process that means someone can be successful, as opposed to roadblock, and because that's not productive. And people, they run away from that. And I would too, right? Anyway, those are just a few of my thoughts upon listening to you guys tonight. I appreciate this opportunity to get a little more acquainted and just share 2 minutes with you guys about what I'm hearing and how I feel.
Mr. Weintraub, I just want to touch on what you said as far as the difficulty that you get in trying to get approved, the roadblocks, and what Trustee Halevi pointed to was this, the concept of the service first organization and providing great customer service. As an architect or a builder yourself, you understand what an expediter is. And for those of you who don't know, an expediter is somebody who you hire to help you through the permit process. Well, if we're looking at being a good customer service organization, we, as the customer, have hired our staff in the village to help us through. They're an expediter. And if the message comes down from the top, from the head down, from the board, and to our village manager and then to the department head, that's how we want them to behave. That's what their job is. I was actually on the phone with Anne Marie Gora today and reminding her that I was very serious and saying, if it costs us more, if our payroll went from $11 million to $13 million in 4 years, and our service level at the building department counter has gone down like 50% in our rating.
That's a bad ROI, isn't it?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's a bad return on investment. And so, I could easily tell you, I could tell or work with the department on, how we could look at our spending, spend a little bit more, but how you get your ROI in getting permits done, getting them issued. One of the things that one of our residents told me, and that I agreed very wholeheartedly, was that it's so difficult to get a permit. People just risk getting caught. And so they risk, getting caught because it's so hard to get a permit. Well, we get money when they get permits. So we want it to be easy because they're coming in and giving us money. And
you're really looking out for public welfare, the safety of the residents. The code is written to protect people so that a bad contractor doesn't do shoddy work and it doesn't collapse on the next building. It's really for everybody. But that's the worst thing when someone skirts the codes. It puts everyone at risk. People who he didn't want to be at risk are now.
Right. And then you think about, just if you think about it from the business aspect, right? We want to operate like a business. Customer is always right. We're the boss and the customer, so we should get the best customer service. Well, if our business is, and it's not that we're trying to make money when we issue permits, there's a cost to those, but we also have to, generate revenue as a village. We want people to come in and get permits. So, we don't want to make it so hard that they just get it for free,
Or they go to Skokie because there's less pain there, right?
Well, that's actually happened. There's a home builder called Premier Custom Homes that I see a lot of current construction in Skokie, none in Lincolnwood. They built a lot of homes in Lincolnwood in the late 90s, early 2000s. They're not building here because why would they build in difficult town, in no town? And that's the idea with the village of no is not we want to have a free for all, but one invitee to a Zoom that we had a week ago told us that she applied or she wanted to get a fence built and she got a quote. And on the quote, it said, here's the price, but you have to get the permit. And she said, well, what's the price if you get the permit? He said, I'm not getting the permit in Lincolnwood. If you can't get it, go to a different contractor. We don't want that. We don't want to limit your ability on who you can use, So I don't want to take too long. It's 9:03. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. John, I really appreciate you, putting this together. And, to anybody who watches the recording, if you have, more questions, you can contact us through email. You can click a button, I think, on our website at lincolnwoodalliance.com, or you can email me at patel@lincolnwood@gmail.com. And if you have anything specific for any of the trustee candidates or for our clerk, I can route them to them, or you can get them on the website. Anything else, John?
No, I appreciate all the time. Thank you very much.
Of course. Mrs. Dreuth, did you have anything? Sorry to put you on the spot.
We'll blame it on technical difficulty again.